A hallway that led the cargo room headed straight toward the stern. Junpei and the other three proceeded down it silently. Some distance along it, a large room opened up on the left-hand side. It looked familiar. An iron gate covered each of the elevators. Junpei and his companions drew to a stop and began to discuss what the next move should be. We've seen this elevator before. We got off the one on the left just a little while ago. Then we went through the number 6 door, and that took us to the engine room. Yes, and after that we passed through the cargo room. And now we're back here. In other words, we made a loop. We're back where we started. Junpei approached the elevator. Gently pushed a triangular button on the wall next to it. A moment passed. The elevator door opened. And shut. Pushing the button had apparently restored power to the elevator. The elevator was now functional. What do we do? Should we return to C deck? No, this hallway keeps going. Even when we do end up going back, I think we should see what's down there first. Agree. Duh. I agree. Let's go. The decision made, Junpei and his companions left the elevators behind and continued down the hallway. Sometime later, Santa, who had been walking several paces in front of the rest, suddenly stopped. Set in the wall in front of him was a door. So far as Junpei could see, there was no other way to proceed. It was a door or nothing. Alright, let's open it. Junpei took a deep breath, righted himself, and then grabbed the doorknob and pulled the door open. This is where we find the Nando, yo. He paused for a moment, then stepped through into the room. And there he saw the number that had hung over their heads since they'd woken up. Q. Like the numbers on every other door, this one too is a rough shape made of red paint. Its door was set into the back wall of the room. Junpei leapt toward it with a sudden burst of hopeful energy. It was a large double door, heavy and full of solemn importance. He grabbed hold of the door handle and shook. Nothing, but he hadn't expected it to open. The red sat on the wall next to the door. Its screen read vacant. Finally, they'd found it. Junpei felt himself overwhelmed by a torrent of emotion. At last they'd found the exit, but cold gripped his heart, and he knew all too well why. As he stood, frozen, unsure of what to think or feel. Jumpy, look, behind you. He spun around, and couldn't believe what he saw. It was a door with the number 9 written across it. Was there a second door? Why? Junpei's voice was barely audible, even to himself. He stumbled toward the second door, as if somehow compelled. It was a small single door. It sat in the starboard corner of the room, on the same wall as the door they had entered from, but in the opposite corner. There was no mistaking it. A red sat in the wall next to this door as well. Junpei shook the door handle pointlessly and muttered to himself. Why? Why the hell are there 2 doors? It was Santa who answered. There were always 2 doors. Just think about it. Zero never said there was only 1 door with 9 on it. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Of course, we just assumed that there was only 1. After all, why would there be more than 1? Oh man. Jeez. Junpei was stunned. Zero's trick had taken him completely by surprise. There were 2 doors. That meant that all 9 people who had met at the central staircase could escape and leave no one behind. Now the reason for the bracelet numbers being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 was clear. Divided by 2, the digital root for both teams would be 9. And for instance, 1, 2, 7, 8 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, the digital root for both teams would be 9. Yep. There were many other workable combinations, but they all ended the same way, with the digital root of 9. What did that mean? The answer was quite simple. From the very beginning, the Nonary game was designed to save all 9 people. Not save, put them in fucking danger. Zero hadn't been lying. Zero had never said there was only 1 door. But anyone who'd found themselves in the game would have assumed that that was the case. Fights would have broken out. One team would likely betray or deceive the other. Someone might be hurt. Someone might get killed. But eventually, they would reach the room Junpei now found himself in, and realize the pointlessness of whatever violence they'd visited upon each other. There were 2 doors. No need to kill each other. They'd understand and be appalled, overwhelmed with guilt at what they'd done. Perhaps that was the purpose of the game. That's how the Nonary game was meant to be played. Fortunately, they hadn't started to fight one another, at least not yet. But if one misstep was made, if the wrong mistakes happened, the stakes would rise and the noose would tighten. The thought of it sent a chill down his spine. So, what are we gonna do, Junpei? A voice broke through Junpei's frantic thoughts. Santa's voice. It brought Junpei back to his senses. Now he was worrying about the future and needed to figure out what they were going to do next. There were 4 people in the room. Ace, Santa, Junpei, and June. Their bracelet numbers were 1356. The digital route would be 6. In other words, 4 of them couldn't open a door with the number 9. But what if there were only 3? Could door 9 be opened with 3 of them? It took him no time at all to determine the answer. There was only one combination of 3 people that would give a digital root of 9. 1, 3, 5, 9. That would mean... No! We gotta go back. That wasn't a possibility he was willing to consider. Santa and Ace agreed. Yep, I agree. We cannot leave June behind. Junpei let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Are you sure? I don't mind staying. June's body betrayed her true feelings. Her eyes were wet with the beginnings of tears, and her legs shook. It's okay. There's no way we'd leave you behind. Santa had said what Junpei had known the moment he realized which 3 people could go through the door. Besides, I'd rather drown at the bottom of the ocean than escape with this sausage fest. Wow, maybe I'll get to go to Atlanta. Are you sure you don't mean Atlantis? Nope. Oh, right. Perhaps there's a sudden reassurance that no one wanted to leave June behind, but Junpei laughed harder than he had in some time. Santa and Ace smiled. You guys. June blinked her tears from her eyes and bit her lip. She didn't seem to know what else to say. Very well. Best we head back to C-Deck then. We should be able to take the elevator we passed earlier. Perhaps Clover, Seven, and Lotus will have returned from door 1. Even as they spoke, they knew finding the others wouldn't improve the situation. There's no way they could be split into teams that could both go through the doors. Ace knew it. They all knew it. But there was nothing else they could do. They would find the other 3 and search for another solution. Alright, let's go. Ace looked at all 3 of them, then turned and headed through the door. Santa and June followed. Junpei started toward the door, then stopped. He'd been too busy with the other concerns to notice the room itself. It didn't seem terribly important now, but what exactly was it? Junpei looked around the room for the first time, noticing the things that weren't filled doors with 9s on them. Whatever. A red carpet between 2 columns of wooden benches that... Did I have a stroke? A red carpet ran between 2 columns of wooden benches that ran the length of the room. There are 9 benches! The carpet began on a large set of double doors and ran toward the bow, toward... Junpei wasn't sure. Was it an altar, perhaps? There was a small rectangular alcove at the end of the carpet. Inside the alcove was a raised platform. Resting on top of the platform was a coffin. A coffin. A coffin? What on earth was a coffin doing in a place like that? I don't know. What the fuck was one doing in the cargo room? He seemed okay with that. But before Junpei had time to answer that question... Hey, Junpei! The hell are you doing? Let's move! Santa's voice echoed in from the hall outside. Right, okay. I'll be right there. Junpei turned on his heel and left the quiet, somber room. It's not over. They took the elevator up to C-Deck. Once there, they headed back toward the main hall and the central staircase. It didn't take them long. Junpei found Seven and Lotus waiting for them. They didn't look happy. We've got a problem. Clover is gone. Whoa, shits. Are you gonna... Alright. Junpei and his three companions looked at one another. He turned back to Seven and Lotus. What do you mean, gone? Santa, Ace, and June had their own questions to ask. When? Why? You two wanted the door open with Clover, didn't you? Seven and Lotus responded as best they could. Yeah, we went through the door together, but Clover barely spoke to us. She just did her own thing the whole time. There were 4 rooms on the other side of the door. One. She wouldn't let us into the 4th room. She just said, I'll take care of this one, and shut the door. She must have blocked it with something on the other side. We waited for a while, but Clover didn't come out. I called out for her, but she didn't answer. So I kicked down the door, and we went into the room, but it was empty. Clover wasn't there. There was a door on the other wall, and it was open. We figured she opened the door and left it by herself. We ran after her, of course, but, well, obviously we didn't find her. You figured that much out. You figured that out. Clover's gone. Junpei thought for a moment. When did this happen? We got here just before you. You certainly have excellent timing. So you haven't searched anywhere other than near the staircase? No, we haven't. Finally, Ace spoke. His voice had an edge of resolve and concern. Very well then, we'd best separate and look for Clover. We haven't much time left. Let's begin. There were quick nods all around, and the 6 remaining players spread out. Junpei and June ran to the large hospital room together. As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners. She's not here. No, she isn't. Alright, just in case, we should go take a look in the shower room. The shower room? That's where her brother is. She might have gone to see him. June bit her lip. She knew, as Junpei did, that there was only one thing to see in the shower room, and it wasn't pleasant. Well, we might as well check, right? Let's go. There was a screwdriver stuck between the door and the frame. Junpei and June slipped through the door and moved down the hallway and stepped into the shower room. No luck. Yeah, I don't think she's here. June's voice was faint, and she placed her hands over her mouth. Her face looked a little green. The stench in the room was almost unbearable. It had grown far more unpleasant since their last visit. If Junpei had eaten a lunch, he would have had difficulty retaining it. He wanted to leave the room as soon as possible, but he had to be sure. And the only way to be sure was to check the other side of the divider. Wait here. June offered no resistance and nodded weakly to Junpei as he headed around the divider. He stopped at the corner and turned his head. As he'd expected, Clover was nowhere to be seen. The only thing on the other side of the divider was a dead body, lying in a reddish-brown puddle of dry and drying blood. There are many ways a man can die, but this... The skull was shattered, and the head a little more than a pulpy mass of brain, bone, and viscera. The left arm was hideously twisted into a horrific alien shape, and the bright white of the ulna shining through the remains of skin and muscle. Huh? Wait. Bright white? Ulna? Bones? The pieces fell into place. Junpei remembered something Clover had told him in the laboratory. My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. The accident hurt him really bad. To save him, they had to cut off his arm. Of course. Of course! Why didn't I realize it earlier? Clover had told Junpei that Snake's left arm was a prosthetic. But the left arm of the corpse behind the divider was quite clearly a real human arm, or at least it had been once. That meant the corpse wasn't Snake. Junpei and June headed back toward the large hospital room. They stepped through the door and out of the shower room. Down the hallway they went, searching for Clover in every corner. They had reached the stairs when Seven appeared, breathless and yelling. Junpei, June, where were you guys? He looked pale, and his face was drawn. Something terrible had happened. Junpei's breath caught in his throat. Did something happen? Seven drew a shaking hand across his face and gulped down a breath of air. Clover is dead. What? I found her in the first-class bathroom. Yeah, let's go look at a corpse. Jeez. All sound ceased for Junpei. The world was all empty, muffled expanse. Then he began to hear his own breathing. Oh, what the fuck, man? June's mouth moved, but he heard nothing. She tried once more, and then her energy was gone, and she collapsed against the wall. He could have helped her, but he hadn't, and now she was dead. So he stood there, frozen in place. Clover. Clover. Why? Why had this happened? He forced his body to move. Each step felt like another nail pounded into his heart. Finally, he was in front of her. He knelt and placed 3 fingers against Clover's neck. No pulse, no breath. But she was still warm, and her eyes were closed peacefully. It would have been easy to think she was asleep. Easy, that is, were it not for the slowly expanding puddle of blood beneath her. He traced its source to her back, a gash just beneath her shoulder blade. Was the weapon a knife, perhaps? If it was a knife, the killer had taken it when they left. When he closed his eyes, he saw Clover smile. Her innocent smile, her energy. He would never see her smile again. He could have done something. He could have helped her. His stomach twisted itself into a sickening knot. Junpei lifted a limp June from the floor and carried her from the bathroom. Fuck. Are you alright? It was a foolish question, and he knew it. Yeah, I think so. Her voice was weak. The fever had gone down, but the emotional scars she'd received were not likely to recede as quickly. Junpei laid his hand on her shoulder, and then walked back toward the bedroom. You should get some rest. He lowered June until she was sitting against the bed. She nodded once and stared at the floor. There were 4 others in the room. Ace, Lotus, Santa, and Seven. They all stared at nothing, their faces drawn and tired. After a while, they drifted into the bathroom to see Clover's corpse themselves. Once everyone was back in the bedroom, Junpei walked slowly to the center of it and looked around at the slumped figures gathered there. Who was the first to find the body? Me. Seven spoke from behind Junpei. He turned around. Seven's hand was up. Why'd you come to this room? To look for Clover. Why else? I found her body in the bathroom. As soon as I did, I ran outside. I got to the top of the stairs by the casino and yelled as loud as I could. Hey guys, I found her, but it's bad. She's in the bathroom, in the first-class cabin. Come quick. Or something like that. Then I went back to the bathroom. Ace, Santa, and Lotus showed up real soon after that. But I guess you two hadn't heard me or something because you didn't show. So I took off down the stairs to look for you. After that, I mean, you know the rest, right? Junpei nodded and closed his eyes. There was one more thing he needed to ask. Seven. There's one more thing I'm worried about. What's that? When we finished all the puzzles in this room and got the door open, you stuck one of those plates in between the door and the frame, right? Why'd you do that? Come on, didn't I already tell you that? I did it so the door wouldn't lock. So we could come back to this room. Oh. You think I did it? Well, I don't know. That kind of depends on what you say, doesn't it? Seven sighed and shook his head. Follow me. There are 2 doors standing next to one another. He opened the one on the right. Behind the door was a closet. Oh, that damn safe. Seven stepped inside. He stood in front of one of the shelves that filled it and gestured toward a small box. The box was a small metal cube. He looked at Junpei. This is the reason. The safe. We couldn't open it when we were getting through this room. I figured there might be something pretty important in it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Besides, I figured eventually we might figure out what the numbers are for the safe. If we did, I didn't want to screw around with door 5 again, so I put that plate in the exit door so we could get back in that way. Get it now? Junpei nodded and looked at the safe. He grabbed the handle and shook it. Nothing happened. It was as locked as it had been when Seven found it. There was one change, however. Just underneath the safe was a pile of fine reddish-brown powder. Rust. Junpei stared at it for a moment. Had someone opened the safe, dislodging the rust? Junpei left the closet. Seven followed him back to the bedroom. It It was cold and quiet. No one spoke. They sat, frozen in place by shock and grief and fatigue. The room felt tiny and oppressive, and the thick metallic smell of blood filled the room. Junpei turned and headed for the living room. Anything to get out of there. Was there some other clue, perhaps? Anything that might lead him to whoever had stabbed Clover? He took his time and examined the room carefully. His eyes caught on the door. The door that led to the passageway of door number 5. Behind that door was the dead body of the 9th man. Maybe I should have another look at it, just in case. Quietly, he pushed open the door. The smell hit him like a blow to the face. His lungs contracted, unwilling to inhale such fetid air. Acid boiled up from the base of his stomach, churning what little food was there into a violent froth. It was too much for him, and he vomited. A thin stream of yellow water and bile splattered onto the floor. Thank you! Awesome. He wiped his mouth weakly and stared at the dead body. Chunks of torn flesh lay in an arc around the body. What remained of his intestines had slid out onto the floor. The pool of blood that framed it was half dry, but so thick that it had taken on a texture not unlike that of an egg yolk prepared sunny side up. On the floor, next to the broken mask of the man's head, lay his glasses, cracks spidering across the lenses. The bloodstains near them had already dried like scabs on the floor. That was when he noticed. It's gone. His bracelet. It's gone. It had been there when Junpei had gone through door 5 before. He was sure of it. Right next to the glasses. But now... it was gone. The number 9 bracelet was gone. But why? Had someone taken it? He was turning it over and over in his mind when he heard Seven's voice. Huh? Where'd Junpei go? It had drifted out to him from the living room. Junpei walked slowly out of the hallway. Oh, there you are. Were you looking for something in the hallway? Seven looked up as Junpei entered the room. Did you find something? He thought for a moment before he responded. No, nothing. Technically, it wasn't a lie. He hadn't found anything. In a way, in fact, that was the problem. Something he'd expected to find hadn't been there. The 9th man's bracelet. What's up? Well, I wanted you to take a look at something. What is it? Seven led Junpei back to the bathroom. As Clover's corpse came into view, he felt his heart flip, and then followed the bottom of his stomach. Something between a sigh and a groan escaped his lips. What was it you wanted to show me? His voice was hollow and empty. I searched Clover's body again. I found this. As he spoke, he moved around Clover's head, then knelt down and flipped open her right hand. What? She was holding a piece of paper. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know? Basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing. He wasn't sure what that meant, but it likely didn't matter. The paper was more important. He picked it up and carefully opened it. There were 2 sentences written on it. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand. Sinister is the Latin word for left. What is this? Some kind of secret code? Seven peered over Junpei's shoulder at the note. Junpei stepped away from Clover's body, and now into the living room. He began to pace, attempting to decode the note. The first clue was likely the phrase sinister hand. Sinister hand means the left hand. Sinister was a term used in heraldry that meant to the left of the bearer of a coat of arms. The left hand. The left hand. What did the left hand mean? That's where the bracelet is. Junpei looked at his own left arm. At the bracelet on his wrist. Did the darkness of the sinister hand have something to do with the bracelet? He examined the bracelet closely. There were 2 protrusions on either side of the face. The left and right sides of the face. Left and right, right and left. Truth is gone, truth gone. It sounded funny. What did it mean? Truth gone. Maybe those 2 words? Truth gone. Gone truth. Enough tret? Truth gone. Switching them. Gon had truth, Gon had truth, Gon had truth. What else could they mean? What else could Gon and truth mean? Truth, of course, meant something that was correct. Something that was fact. In other words, something that was right. It would follow then that Gon meant left. After all, after someone had left, they were gone. In this case, however, they clearly referred to their directional homonyms. So that means truth equals right, Gon equals left. That seemed to make sense. And Junpei looked at the bracelet again. At the two protrusions on the left and right of the face, Junpei. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Right, left, right, left. And then... What the fuck? One after another, 8 numbers flashed on, then off in the face of Junpei's bracelet. He checked one more time to be sure. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Huh? Hey, what are those numbers? Junpei didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He had no idea what they were either. Besides, he was sure we'd forget the numbers and the order they came in if he said anything. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Muttering the numbers to himself over and over, Junpei headed toward the bathroom. Or bedroom? Bedroom, probably. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Before long, he found himself in front of the safe again. Its lock was the only device he could think of that required a sequence of numbers such as the ones he'd just discovered. Besides, someone had opened the safe at least once already. Had Clover come to the bedroom to open it? Junpei slowly dialed in the numbers the bracelet had given him. 1 to the right, 4 to the left, 3 to the right, 8 to the left, 3 to the right, 4 to the left, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Finished. Junpei heard the small telltale sound of a lock opening. He grabbed the handle, took a deep breath, and pulled it up. Inside was a piece of paper. It was roughly the same size as the one Clover had been holding. Junpei picked it up. This is what it said. Fact number 1. The Nonra game was played once before, 9 years ago. Fact number 2. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. Fact number 3. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceutical CEO. I fucking knew it. Gentaro Hongo. Cradle Pharmaceutical Chief of Staff. Nagisa Nijisaki. Yep, that's right. Cradle Pharmaceutical R&D Supervisor. Tederaki Kubota. Majority shareholder in Cradle Pharmaceutical. Kagechiko Musashido. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved. I now state the truth. 0.